Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome William Heathershaw to the main stage.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Global Mobile Internet Conference, the first day, first afternoon, of course. I just got back from lunch, didn't have much time to eat, so I had to resort to a mobile dinner. No more TV, right? No TV dinners. All right, I'm sorry. We'll continue and go with the script now. All right. So, very exciting afternoon, and we're going to start the afternoon with a fireside chat with Osama Bedier, the VP of Wallet from Google, and he'll be interviewed by Mr. Rajiv Chand, who is the managing director of Rutberg, which is a boutique investment bank focusing on mobile. So now I would like to welcome to the stage Mr. Chand and Bedier.
Thank you so much. Osama, I think these are our seats over here.
They're nice and white.
And look, we can kick up our feet and everything. So first of all, many thanks to Great Wall Club, Great Wall Club for involving us. Osama, it's an honor to be welcoming you to the GMIC conference. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So let's start off with the overall question. So the last session was on mobile payments, and I'm going to throw out a thesis. And my thesis is that the market in the US is too fragmented to be successful. That you've got ISIS, the big ones, ISIS, Google Wallet, and Merchant Customer Exchange. They're all super well funded. None of them has or is anywhere near ubiquity. Consumers need ubiquity to be successful. And so what consumers have in front of them and what the industry has in front of them is a period of very slow movement and just lack of success.
You're absolutely right. I think people forget this is an industry that doesn't change very fast. And it's very hyped up right now. It's the most hyped up. Payments is the most I've ever seen it hyped up recently. And I think everyone's expecting change to happen in weeks and months. And that just doesn't work. The last major change in payments it has been credit cards. And that was 40 to 50 years ago. And we're just going into the next major change, which is going to happen. We will have mobile wallets. We will have mobile payments on mobile wallets. The problem is there's a lot of ideas and not a lot of problems being solved.
So staying at the market level, what's got to happen? Do two of the three have to fail, and then one ends up leading? Do all three need to merge somehow? I mean, from a market level, how is this going to play out?
I actually think there's room for multiple solutions. I don't think it'll be one solution or people have to fall out. But each solution has to have a value proposition. They have to actually fill a need. And it's hard to tell what that need is from one solution to another. Credit cards already work pretty well if all you're trying to do is payments. They work fairly well. So what is the value prop on top of that? What is the reason for consumers to use it? I think that's number one.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Right? So, and the value prop will mostly be around saving time or saving money. It's that simple. Find a use case that saves you time or saves you money. Find a use case that cuts through the line so you don't have to wait in line for something. Or save money. Find a way to turn advertising dollars into value for consumers. At Google, what we've said is we do pretty well with advertising. We have a lot of customers that come to us looking for value locally, not just online. And we want to turn that from just clicks to online websites towards offers you take with you into the store. So savings will drive traffic into the store.
Let's jump to Google Wallet. Metrics.
Yes.
Seth from Scavenger recently tweeted jokingly, so you guys have 5 users.
So we have a lot more than 5 users. We don't talk about our numbers, so I can't give you what our user numbers are today. The space is very competitive. But what I can tell you is, ever since our launch in August, where we moved to a cloud version of the wallet connected to the secure element in the phone, the transaction volume has increased significantly. We've already said that it's doubled in the first 5 to 6 weeks. We're seeing that trajectory continue to today. We feel like we're making a huge difference on transaction volume. And it's
Off of what base? Off of what base?
I can't tell you the base, but the numbers are compelling.
Okay.
And I can tell you as a result, and this is the most important part, we didn't think NFC was just going to happen in a single year. This is a 3 to 5 year game. I do believe 5 years out, you'll have NFC in almost every phone and in almost every terminal. That's the future we wanted to bring about. What we launched last year allowed that to happen. Last year, there were almost no NFC phones.
Yeah.
This year, there are tens of millions of NFC phones shipping globally. And next year, it'll be hundreds of millions. So we feel pretty good about the trajectory we set things in motion on.
Does Google Wallet equal NFC?
No. Google Wallet equals a wallet solution that you can take with you everywhere.
So you're
NFC
not based.
is one of the ways
NFC is one of
we're
the ways.
doing Google Wallet.
Okay.
Obviously, you already see it today online. We changed our Google Checkout product to connect to Google Wallet. Whenever you buy anything on the Play Store or anything across Google properties, you're using Google Wallet. All of those wallets are combined in one place in the cloud. We just enabled that on NFC, and you should look forward to other means that we enable Google Wallet. Our goal is to be ubiquitous. We want Google Wallet to work everywhere.
QR codes, like the Starbucks app?
I think, look, I think there are many bridge technologies between now and what is a destination solution. We think NFC could be that destination solution. There aren't that many great destination solutions. QR code is a bridge solution, but you actually have to futz with it. You have to, you have to turn on the phone. You have to go into the app. You have to do 2 clicks. It's not even as convenient as a credit card.
What bridges?
So NFC, you just have to tap. And by the way, it doesn't, like most people think, it doesn't need to be on the POS terminal.
Yeah.
Imagine a check-in when you walk into the door to get an offer from a retailer. That should be a single tap as opposed to 5 or 6 clicks on your phone.
Yeah.
Imagine in the aisle, a specific coupon you grab just by tapping the phone. Imagine actually checking out the product because the barcode is replaced with a very cheap NFC chip. And NFC chips will replace barcodes.
Yeah.
Because they'll get cheap enough to where logistics, the whole shipping of them, that's become a fundamental part of retail. Yeah. How do you ship products across distances? The chip being on the product replacing the barcode will be an important part of logistics, but will also enable you to self-check out that product.
What bridge technologies do you think you'll end up using into bridge?
You can imagine we're looking at all of them.
Got it. Got it.
And we'll keep our mind, though, on the destination, because all these things have to bridge to something.
And actually, to be honest, I jumped into technology, and I want to abstract at the higher level. How can Google Wallet be successful? I mean, my last count was 9 devices, 1 or 2 operators. You got a bunch of merchants, but ISIS has got 3 operators, 20 devices, which in of itself is not ubiquity. But how can Google Wallet be successful in the absence of kind of ubiquity, or even something close to a majority or a significant minority?
I'll tell you what I tell my team. 3 things we need to work on. A value proposition, save time or money or both. It needs to be automatic and seamless, and it needs to work everywhere. That's what we're working on for Google Wallet. That's how it'll be successful. And so you can expect for us to come out with solutions that
meet each of those 3. Meet each of those 3.
And look, from a Google perspective, we want every Google user to have a wallet. I mean, we have lots of Google accounts that are used across the ecosystem to facilitate transactions.
Yeah.
And we believe that the future bar for advertising has to be beyond just traffic and beyond even measurable traffic. I think the bar will be facilitating a transaction. And so that's where we want to make sure that merchants get to a point where they understand that as opposed to today, 10 different startups are claiming the one guy that was delivered online to offline. You need to be able to prove that you delivered that traffic.
Let's jump to Osama merchants. And I know you and I have had a lot of conversations on this. And I'm going to read a quote from Walmart from like a month ago or a couple of weeks ago. And the Walmart exec was asked about whether or not Google Wallet, whether or not he would see any value in Google Wallet, collaborating with Google Wallet. And he said, I'm not sure there's a value add or synergy that's there to make it work. You know, Walmart has no interest in sharing data with additional partners, and many of the models out there are just adding another mouth to feed. And you know, I'm actually doing a couple of retailer interviews next week, and I hear this. And you and I were talking about this backstage.
Yep.
What do you say to those retailers who feel that they don't feel comfortable sharing data with you, and not just Google, but you know, there's just other. There's too many mouths. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'd say a couple of things. I think, first of all, there's a misunderstanding of Google in this space. I think the belief is we want to take the retailer data that they provide us and just share it broadly across the Google network so that their competitors can target them or target their customers right out of their stores, which couldn't be further from the truth. We actually, in every major deal we do with retailers, we tell them we respect their data. Any data they give us, we'll respect what we do, what they want us to do with it. The first and foremost reason that we would like to work with merchants is to help them to connect to our common customers. And we have these customers, they have accounts with us, they visit our online properties. The idea here is how can we address these common customers so that we can help them help drive them into the store, so that they know that where their loyal customers are beyond the 10 seconds they're in the checkout lane, right? That's the most important thing. So we respect merchants' data, and we want to help them connect with those customers beyond just their store.
And walk me through that concept again, real quick, on the beyond their store. You and I were talking about it backstage.
So as you know, people go to Google properties, right?
Yeah.
YouTube, Maps,
Yeah.
Search, Gmail. The opportunity here is when we recognize there's a common customer between us and a retailer, we can give them the opportunity to present an offer that drives them back into the store.
Hey,
and that offer could be different for a customer that's brand new, that they've never seen before, versus a customer that visits every day.
Yeah, it's a super interesting concept. The concept is that the retailers only know their customer interaction within the four walls.
Exactly.
And Google or the internet knows whether or not the person is going to a softball game afterwards or has just come from a barbecue.
Yeah.
And you should be able to use that information to help augment offers. Is that?
That's the general idea. To the extent that the consumer wants to connect with the merchant in other places, we want to be able to facilitate that. And a lot of those places happen to be Google properties.
Now, some of the merchants aren't buying it. What do you think about merchant-customer exchange? What's your view on that initiative?
It's hard to tell. Right now, it's not clear what the product is. I think it's an idea. We respect what merchants want to do here, and we want to help them achieve it. We'd like to work with them. I've heard the point about data, and I've in all my conversations with them, I've said, we'll respect your data. But we'd like to understand what their needs are and help them. It's hard to say much about it when I don't know exactly what it is.
When you say respect the data, that means you'll keep a siloed data set for each merchant?
We won't use the data in a way we haven't agreed
to
do it. Any data merchants provide us, we won't use it in a way we haven't pre-agreed to.
Let's jump to carriers.
Yeah.
ISIS has got a big launch, October 22nd. I don't know if 2 cities is big, but nonetheless. They've got
I think big is your word.
Well, big is a hype word. Big is a hype word. There's a lot of hype around it for sure.
There is.
Your reaction?
Well, I always hate commenting on competitors because I don't know their plans, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, we launched Google Wallet 1.0 more than a year ago now, and we found in the process, since that year launch, a lot of deficiencies in the core NFC technology. It only works online, doesn't work online and offline. There's a limited number of cards you can have on the phone. It's not unlimited. The switching between cards, there's a latency period on it. So we've since spent another year of development moving towards an augmented model where NFC works well with the cloud. I'm surprised that they're still doing something that looks like the 1.0 model to me.
They argue that ISIS is merchant-friendly because they don't want the customer data at all. They let the merchants have their own data. And they call, in fact, in the previous session, this was one of the quotes from one of the previous sessions was that they call Google Wallet sort of a two-putt solution, where you're getting in between the players in the ecosystem. What's your response?
Well, look, what we're doing is common in the payment space. We're not the only ones doing it, right? Lots of folks that facilitate payments do this. Payment services providers do this. Payment enablers do this today. we're doing the best we can with the technology to focus on the consumer and the merchant. That's what matters the most. Because if, as an ecosystem, we don't bring value to the consumer and the merchant and get stuck with the technology limitations and just doing technology for technology's sake, nobody's going to benefit here. So we're focusing on delivering value to the consumer and the merchant, and in the process, working with financial institutions and others in the payment ecosystem to solve for technology deficiencies. We're very excited about those conversations because, look, every time I talk to anyone who knows about the payment space, they recognize the fundamental problems, and they recognize that we're doing what we have to because we need to, and they're willing to work with us to resolve those deficiencies.
How do you, there's also this perception that, obviously, there's this perception that the carriers and Google are fighting. And you and I talked about that on our prep call. And Verizon even either tried to or disabled the Galaxy Nexus, NFC. And you want to talk about it. So are the carriers and Google Wallet fighting?
Well, I'll just say, in general, Google works with the carriers on multiple fronts. Obviously, Android is a really good example of that. We haven't yet seen eye to eye on a mobile wallet solution that we can bring to market together. We feel like we're way advanced in the technology. We want to bring that understanding, those learnings, that advancement to their customers and them. We've offered it on several occasions. I think we're waiting for them to respond. So far, they said they want to do their own thing, and we respect that. We would like to see a more open model.
How do you bring them in? How do you bring in those other three big ones into Google Wallet? Because that has to happen for Google Wallet to be successful.
So I don't agree with the last statement.
Okay.
Google Wallet is not about NFC. It's not just about NFC. This is really important. I agree to make NFC successful, the carriers should come along. And that's a better question for them. How do I bring them? I don't know. I think we've been very reasonable. But they have to agree. They have to see eye to eye with us on the approach.
On the last session, one of the panelists said, almost like hands being thrown up in exasperation. Apple, can you please just come into this market and make it for us? What's your thoughts on Apple, and what's your thoughts on Passbook?
Well, it's also, like I said, I don't like to comment on competitors. But look, we like competition in the mobile payment space. True competition that doesn't create FUD, that doesn't confuse, that doesn't scare consumers away with models that don't work, that doesn't frustrate merchants with confusing models that won't take them anywhere. So generally, competition is good for the ecosystem. Even for NFC, we'd love to see more competitors in NFC because, frankly, then it will become a reality. Yeah. Everybody uses the Wi-Fi chip today, and that's actually, we're all better for it. Everybody uses the GPS chip. We're all better for it. And I think NFC will benefit the same way when more folks leverage it.
Last question. Abstracting now consumer behavior. How many transactions, or what percentage of transactions will actually occur in-store at the checkout line, let's say 5 years from now?
This is an interesting question. The majority of transactions today, retail in the last 100 years, has kind of been positioned around a cash register. And credit cards have made that even more so. I think in the next 5 years, what you'll see is transactions migrating further into the store. Richer experiences, richer shopping experiences happening in the aisle, in the middle of the store, more interaction between the salesperson and the consumer, a faster checkout capability from anyone who works at the store. So you won't need to take your products to, you won't roam the store for hours, the fun part, finding things you love, and then stand 10 minutes in a line to check out. I think we'll avoid that for a lot of occasions.
Half? 60%, 30%?
I'd say at least half. At least half. But you will still need to go to checkout lane for things like groceries, where you need to weigh the product.
So, Osama, again, thank you so much for joining. You and Google Wallet are very much a pioneer in this early forming stage, in this early forming, extremely large market opportunity. Really appreciate your taking the time to share with us your thoughts.
Pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Everybody, please join me in thanking Osama.